I did 3 media interviews yesterday, and doing some lectures this weekend. So yeah, this is it's a busy time of the year, but it's a time of the year dealing with the history of Juneteenth, to focus on the real history of Juneteenth, separate fact from fiction, and then also deal with economic empowerment, politics, and law as well.
Okay, so let's give us some background. When I ask people about Juneteenth, they go, well, it's when the slaves were free. Well, Juneteenth came after that. So kind of give me the chronology.
Okay, so June 19th, 1865 commemorates when Major General Gordon Granger goes into Galveston, Texas. He has about 2,000 Union troops. He goes into Galveston, Texas to enforce General Order Number 3, which is enforcing the Emancipation Proclamation. Okay, now it's what happens is he arrives the day before, June 18th, and we know that Texas was more removed from the Civil War than other Confederate states, so there were less battles fought in Texas, and you're going to have a lot of slave owners who go into Texas and take their slaves with them as a refuge, coming from Mississippi and other surrounding states. So they have to. You need the military to be able to enforce the Emancipation Proclamation. Now, it's important to understand that the Emancipation Proclamation is not going to be what really legally frees the slaves. It's going to be the 13th Amendment, which is ratified December 6, 1865, when Georgia ratifies the 13th Amendment. Okay. But the Emancipation Proclamation, and I encourage people to go to archives.gov, which is the U.S. National Archives, or you can even go to history.com, which is the official website of the History Channel, and look up the Emancipation Proclamation. And it was a military strategy that Lincoln implemented to bring the Confederate states back into the Union. Okay. The Civil War was originally fought to bring the South back into the Union, not to free the slaves. But it stated that if the territories in rebellion did not come back into the Union by January 1st, 1863, their slaves would be free. Okay. Now, there's a problem there because the South had seceded from the Union, and the Union had no authority to dictate to them what to do. Also, when you read it, and it's at history.com is a good article on it, but it's also at the Library of Congress website and archives.gov, U.S. National Archives. When you read the Emancipation Proclamation, it also tells you that the border states are exempt. So Missouri, Maryland, Kentucky, and Delaware, they were allowed to keep their slaves. All right. So when the 13th Amendment is ratified December 6, 1865, this is what's going to legally free the slaves. But June 19th, 1865, and days after that, Major General Gordon Granger is going throughout Texas, delivering General Order Number 3. So slaves are finding out on different days that they're free. Now, you're going to have some slave owners who are going to, in Texas, who are somehow going to keep the word from their slaves that they're free by various ways, and keep them enslaved for an additional year to 1866 also. So it's not the day, Juneteenth is not the day that slavery ended in the U.S. It's not the day all slaves were freed, but it does commemorate June 19th, 1865, which was the agreed upon date to celebrate. It does commemorate, and they had celebrations when they found out they were free. I mean, a lot of African Americans celebrate when Friday comes and they leave work. Okay, think about, so of course, I totally understand them celebrating. All right, but we have to correct the history and protect the history. It's not the day that slavery ended all throughout the U.S. and things like that. And also, we have to understand that the Civil War, to a lesser extent, continues until August of 1866, because even though General Robert E. Lee surrendered April 9th, 1865 to General Ulysses S. Grant at the Appomattox Courthouse in Virginia, that General Lee's Army of Northern Virginia was the largest Confederate army, but it was not the only Confederate army. So there were other Confederate armies like General Johnson E. Johnston's army out of Tennessee. He had 90,000 troops. You had Nathan Bedford Forrest, who became the first Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan. You had his army. So they had to negotiate terms of surrender with each one of those individual Confederate armies as well. So it
gets kind of complicated, and that's why you're here tonight. Well, Juneteenth, the word Juneteenth, is actually the title of a book by author Ralph Ellison, and I guess then it was adopted in holiday.
Well, no, it's a contraction of June 19th. I'm not sure the year of the book, but they were celebrating Juneteenth before Ralph Ellison wrote the book. They first started celebrating it going back to 1866. At one point, it's called Jubilee Day, things like that. But Juneteenth, that originates out of Texas. It's a contraction of June 19th. And they would have cookouts. They would have celebrations. It evolved into music festivals. So as African Americans migrated out of Texas to other parts of the U.S., especially during the Great Migration, but even during what's known as the Black Exodus of 1879, when you had 6,000 African Americans migrating from Louisiana and Texas out to Kansas. As African Americans migrate out of Texas, they take these celebrations with them. They may be called different names in different areas, but they take, wherever we go, we take our customs and things like that with us. So Juneteenth migrates throughout the U.S. as well.
But when did you first learn, and I know you're a historian, you know more about this than most people do, but when did you first hear about Juneteenth, learn about it and what it meant?
I was in college at Wayne State. It was probably 1992, 1993, and it was at a lecture.
Yeah, because when we were kids, I mean, everybody celebrated the 4th of July, Independence Day.
Right. Well,
you think that we'll get to the point where African Americans will make a bigger deal out of Juneteenth as a holiday, our holiday, Freedom Day, Jubilee Day, than we do the 4th of July?
Well, I'm looking at celebrations taking place in Detroit, taking place in other cities. I'm looking at articles being written. So there's a lot more celebrations that African Americans are organizing this year, even here in the Metro Detroit area, than in previous years. So I think Juneteenth, that's our Freedom Day. Okay.
Absolutely.
That's our freedom. The 4th of July with Dr. Ashaka Musa Barashango, who wrote the books African People and European Holidays and Mental Genocide. He called it the 4th of July because YOULIE. He called it the 4th of July. Yeah, because many African Americans were slaves in 1776. Okay. So but I think that Juneteenth, especially with Juneteenth becoming a federal holiday, June 17th, 2021, when it's signed into law by President Joe Biden, I think is quickly going to become something that we embrace more. But when we have these celebrations, we have to have a historical component where we deal with the real history of Juneteenth, the Civil War, the Reconstruction era that follows the Civil War, 1865 to 1877. While Reconstruction ends, okay, and this is going to end a lot of the progress that African Americans were making, and then we have to deal with this history of how we got to where we are today. So it can't just be a cookout and drinking pop like we do for the 4th of July. Okay, it has to have more purpose. We need to deal with history, politics. We have to have political education and understanding how to leverage Juneteenth. See, I talk about this, how Juneteenth helps to give America the massive history lesson that it needs, because Americans are very ignorant of history. And Juneteenth forces a national conversation about a history that Republicans and state legislatures are passing laws to suppress the teaching of that history to varying degrees.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. We talk about, you just mentioned, Juneteenth is now a national holiday because Joe Biden, did that.
Well, it passed Congress. The sponsor was Representative Sheila Jackson Lee, and African Americans have been fighting for decades to make it a national holiday. We just got the right president who was signed into the law. Okay. Oprah Lee marched for years, 94 years old. To make it a national holiday.
Was there the same pushback that we saw before Martin Luther King's birthday was a holiday? Because many states didn't even accept it.
Yeah, that's true. And Arizona was the last. Arizona was the last state.
The last one.
Yep.
Was that a problem with this holiday with Juneteenth as well?
Not from the president. Biden wanted to sign it into law. He held a ceremony. Now, you had it blocked in the Senate by Senator Ron Johnson from Wisconsin, who's a Trump acolyte. Yeah. He blocked it in 2020. Now, what he said was, and I just talked about this in the broadcast I just did. What he said was he did not want to have. He said he blocked it for economic reasons. He did not want to have another federal holiday because federal holidays cost approximately $660 million in payroll and holiday premium pay costs. And this was put out by his staff, citing a 2014 National Public Radio report that came from the Office of Budget and Management. So he said he blocked it because of economic reasons. But this the same senator who said at the January 6, 2021 insurrection, he did not fear those domestic terrorists because he thought they were law-abiding Americans. But he said if they had been Black Lives Matter or Antifa, he would have been scared. This the same Senator Ron Johnson of Wisconsin, who's up for re-election in November 2022.
So do you think that, like you mentioned, there are different events all over Detroit, all over the state of Michigan, actually,
right?
And not just in urban areas, but
Mount Clemens and Inkster. Yep.
You think people are starting to catch on? I mean, I saw
absolutely.
Zana Smith, who owns a boutique downtown. In fact, she's been in business over 30 years down in what they call Paradise Valley. We used to call it Harmony Park.
Yeah.
And she just posted the T-shirt she's gotten in, and they're flying out the door. Serge Moreland is a T-shirt. He's in the T-shirt business. He put up some things today. He's taking orders, and people are kind of, that pride is there. I see the pride.
Yes.
We're going to take a break and come right with Michael Imhotep, one of the greatest historians that I know, talking about Juneteenth. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned to Mind Your Business with Charlene Mitchell. We'll be right back.
All right, stand by. We're on commercial break. Stand by on commercial break. I'm on 9:10 a.m. WFDF on Charlene Mitchell show, Mind Your Business. Let me update this Chiron here. How's everybody doing? You can still order my Juneteenth lecture. We have it at our new website, theafricanhistorynetwork.com. Stand by just a second here. Business. Let me update this. We're back from break in 3 minutes. How's everybody doing? All right. Okay, got index. Okay, y'all can give us a thumbs up, give us a heart, give us a like if you're watching. You can register for my my Juneteenth lecture. I mean, you can order my Juneteenth lecture. We have it in digital download format and DVD. Okay, the DVD is here. It's at our new website, theafricanhistorynetwork.com. Okay, right here.
Charlene Mitchell.
And we're back here on Mind Your Business talking about Juneteenth. My guest is actually my colleague who has a show here on 910, Michael Imhotep.
Yes.
African-American history historian and African history historian. I was thinking earlier, Michael, all these other holidays, the 4th of July, what's the Irish Day?
St. Patrick's Day, March 17th.
St. Patrick's Day,
Mm-hmm.
And even Pride Day. There's always these big parades. I mean, especially St. Patrick's Day, that's like huge. Are there any parades? Have you ever heard of a parade, a major parade for Juneteenth? And do you think that would be a good thing?
Yeah, well, in Atlanta, and sometimes I speak at the 3-day Juneteenth Parade and Music Festival in Atlanta that Bob Johnson organizes. Not Bob Johnson from BET, but another Bob Johnson. Yeah, they have a huge parade down there. Parade's usually on Saturday, and they have a festival, 3-day festival. Thousands of people come through. They usually have 100 or more African-American vendors, Black vendors, Caribbean vendors, African vendors there. So it's a major festival. It's a major, they have the parade and music festival.
Mm-hmm.
So they have headliners like Angie Stone. Last year was Arrested Development. So I do, I speak there, do presentations there. But
you think a city like Detroit, because we have the African World Festival. I wonder if anybody's even tossed around the idea of making that African World Festival, like moving it up and make it into a Juneteenth celebration.
Well,
they just have another holiday, since it is a holiday.
It is being moved up. It's going to be in July this year at Hart Plaza as opposed to August, but they should not turn that into a Juneteenth celebration. Let it stay the African World Festival and have something separate as a Juneteenth celebration.
And I think it would be difficult for the city to deny a permit to have a parade because there are all these other parades.
Yeah, they'll and I thought I saw something dealing with a parade, but I don't know if it's the city of Detroit. I looked at so many, events, so I'm not sure if it was what city it was in. But I know I was looking at WXYZ.com, Channel 7. I was looking at their website, Juneteenth 2022 events around the mountain. I pulled it up here. So I see Juneteenth events in Detroit. Bloomfield Hills, Dearborn, Juneteenth. You get something.
But if people want to know, they could go to these websites and
find
out more.
And then I'm speaking at a couple of events. If people visit my website, theafricanhistorynetwork.com, theafricanhistorynetwork.com, our new website. We have the information there. On Saturday, I'm out in Mount Clemens Carnes Community Center, 58 Orchard Street. It's a family event, a free event, and they're having a Juneteenth event, so I'm speaking there. That's 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. And then on Sunday, so that one's Saturday. On Sunday, I'm speaking at St. Clement's Church, 4300 Harrison Street, Inkster, Michigan. Is open to the public. 10:30 a.m. 11:40 a.m. is a service. I'm speaking at the service, and then I'm doing about an hour presentation. They're doing a lunch and learn afterwards. So I'm doing an hour presentation there, so it's free and open to the public also. But we have the information.
That's fantastic. I mean, what made you so passionate about what you do and learning this history and teaching others? Spreading the word.
Well, in college in the early 1990s with the conscious hip hop movement and the X-Clan and Public Enemy, things like this, and then listening to and in that music, they're incorporating excerpts of speeches from Malcolm X and Minister Farrakhan and others. And then you had the Afrocentric movement at the time, Dr. Leonard Jeffries, Dr. Yosef Ben Yakinen, Dr. John Henrik Clark, and others. And then there was a TV show in the early 1990s that I used to watch coming out of South Carolina called For the People. And it was hosted by Lister Velt Middleton. He was a journalist, and each week he would interview one of the African Senate scholars. So that's how I first learned about Dr. Leonard Jeffries and Dr. Naeem Akbar, Dr. Wade Nobles, Dr. Marimba Ani, things like this. Today, these are people that I know. Dr. Leonard Jeffries is one of my teachers. I was just with him April 30th and May 1st here in Detroit for the HAPI conference, Power and Unity Conference. So that's what did it. And then the Malcolm X movie came out in 92. And I was a business major at Wayne State, so I was studying business, but then I started taking history classes and African studies classes, etc. So that's what lit the fire there. Those the conscious music and being introduced to the African Senate scholars through For the People and Malcolm X, things like this. But that's what lit the fire there.
But okay, so it took you to be a college student. And right now we're hearing so much about, and I'm going to segue a little bit to, critical race theory, CRT.
Yeah.
A lot of which really isn't taught in the schools at the elementary, middle school, or even the high school.
Really not taught at all at the
right,
K through 12.
Not really taught.
That's a legal analysis taught in law school, graduate school.
Right.
Yeah.
But all of this history, African American history, African history. Much of everything that you talk about is really left out of the history books. I didn't learn a lot of this stuff when I was in high school.
Right.
And even in college, I was first introduced to some of it because I went to an HBCU. Right. And I got introduced to all kinds of stuff that I did not learn in high school.
Right.
What do you think about, schools that do incorporate this, which is basically schools that in urban areas that have more Black teachers and there's more emphasis on this, but other school systems are really fighting it. They don't like to talk about a lot of these things. They don't want it in books. They're banning books and all kinds of stuff.
Well, we have to make a clear distinction between critical race theory and just teaching history. Those are two different things. Teaching, and what Republicans have done, and people like Christopher Rufo, who's a Republican operative, what he said in March 2021 is that they want to rebrand what critical race theory is. And what Republicans have done is just created this umbrella term, critical race theory, and put everything that they don't like dealing with the history of slavery and racism, white supremacy, and things like this. They just put it all under this title of critical race theory. Critical race theory evolved in the late 1960s. It's a 40-year-old legal analysis that comes out of Harvard University and is taught in law schools, graduate schools, and it deals with understanding how laws and policies continue to perpetuate racism and oppress, especially African Americans, but non-white people. Just teaching American history is different than that high-level legal analysis that's critical race theory. Okay.
But our American history books leave out a lot.
Well, yeah, some of the books do, but
and a lot of it is, if it's not left out, it's not as honest as it should be.
It's not as honest as it should be, but there's supplementary material.
You find out, you are taught in high school that the slaves sang, or I call them the enslaved people, sang while they picked cotton because they were happy. No, they were not happy. They were singing for many other reasons. Many of the songs were sending signals of what they were planning to do. They're trying to keep their sanity.
Right.
They weren't singing because they were happy.
Right. Well, also understanding that one of the reasons why it was illegal for us to learn to read and write is because a lot of us, when we learned to read and write, we wrote our own freedom papers and ran away. Because oftentimes the slave patroller that you encountered on the roads, a lot of them, they were poor white men. A lot of them were illiterate and couldn't read either. Yeah,
they were illiterate.
Yeah. So a lot of times we wrote travel passes and wrote our own freedom papers and things like this. But a good resource would be from the Southern Poverty Law Center called Teaching Hard History American Slavery. Teaching Hard History American Slavery, and it's about a 52-page study or so that deals with how the history of slavery is being incorrectly taught in schools all across the country. Okay, and people can go there. They can download. What's the name
of that book again?
Teaching Hard History American Slavery from SPLC.org, Southern Poverty Law Center, SPLC.org.
Okay.
And it documents how it gives more recommendations how to better teach the history of slavery. And it also did a survey of 1,000 high school seniors to find out how little they actually knew about the history of slavery. And it found that only 8% of high school seniors surveyed could identify slavery as the central cause of the Civil War. And 2/3 of them did not know that it took a constitutional amendment, the 13th Amendment, to actually end slavery. So it goes through and shows how little 12th graders, the 1,000 surveyed across the country, how little they knew about the history of slavery. So this is why Juneteenth is an opportunity to give America this massive history lesson that America has to have, and who you vote for political office and the policies you support largely is impacted by your understanding of history, law, and policies. Okay, so this ties into a lot of the policies that African Americans that we're pushing and trying to address structural inequities and things like that. That all has to do with the understanding of the Civil War, slavery, and Reconstruction era.
Well, you know, once you start reading all of these things in history books, you know, you kind of get hooked on it.
Yes.
Because there's so much that most of us don't know.
Yes.
You probably know 100 times more than the average person because you study it. This has kind of become your life.
Yes.
And it must be very gratifying to you that other people want you to come and speak and teach. We'll talk about that more after the break.
Okay.
We'll be right back.
Stand by. All right, stand by. Back from break in 4 minutes. This is our last segment, and I've got to go. So I just did a 2-hour broadcast. If you watch that here on our social media platforms. Okay, who still needs to register for the online history classes I teach on Saturdays and Sundays? Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa. Understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. Teach this on Saturdays, normally 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This Saturday, we're going to do a special broadcast at 10 a.m. If you can't join live, that's fine. We do the sessions live. All the sessions are archived and recorded. You can go back and watch it anytime. We do a special broadcast June 18th, 10 a.m. Okay, and then Sunday, I teach from the Civil War to the Civil Rights Movement and Black Power, 1865 to 1968. Normally, that's 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But I'll be speaking at a couple of Juneteenth events. So we're going to do this broadcast at 7 p.m. Sunday when I get back. All right. So the class on $60, regularly $130. We have a bundle pack where you can register for both classes for $100. And if you register for one and still need to register for the other one, email me at ahnshow@africanhistorynetwork.com so we can get you registered at a discount. If it's one of the current classes, email me at ahnshow@africanhistorynetwork.com.
The Superstation, Detroit's only African-American talk radio. Emmy Award-winning broadcast journalist Charlene Mitchell.
And we're back here at the 910 a.m. studios talking about Juneteenth. I have Michael Imhotep. He's my colleague here at 910, African history historian, African American and African history historian, and a teacher. He's a public speaker. He'll come to your events and talk, and believe me, he knows a lot. So we're going to get back to him in a minute, but Spectacles. Spectacles is a boutique downtown that's been there for over 30 years, owned by Zana Smith, and she's joined us to talk about some of the things that you have for sale, commemorating Juneteenth. Hi, Zana. Thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Yes, thank you for having me.
I saw those T-shirts online.
Oh, yes, they have been flying out the door, just like you said. I just want to thank you because we don't have that many T-shirts. We have a limited amount, but because of the demand for the Juneteenth T-shirts, we had to get some in. We got a lot of calls for them last year, and we missed. We dropped the ball last year, but this year we got on top of it, and we got the T-shirts in. Got a great design that is distressed, which a distressed look, like it's vintage.
Okay.
So the T-shirts are very, very soft and 100% cotton. They come in gray, red, and green. And they can be found at Spectacles, 230 East Rim River in downtown Detroit, not too far from the Music Hall and the Lions and Tigers Stadium. We're in downtown Detroit. We've been there since 1984, so that's 39 years.
39. I said over 30 years, so almost 40 years. That is, I mean, that's amazing. It's almost like you must have been 10 years old when you started the store.
Yeah, I was 10. I was 10 when I got the store. But people definitely want to embrace the Juneteenth, June 19th, 1865 day. I'm finding that more and more people are coming in to talk about the history, and they want to get together with their family and everything, but they definitely do want to talk about what actually happened.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, that's
why.
what Michael is talking about now, because he's kind of breaking it down bit by bit and kind of telling us what's going on. You recently had an article written about you, calling you the godmother of what was it? The godmother of something, written by
Retail and culture.
Yes, I mean that article was really very good, written by Ken Coleman for Bridge magazine. So congratulations. I mean,
thank you very much.
To be down there for that long, through thick and thin, and now you're, like you said, you're right by the Music Hall. The Lions play down there. The Tigers play. I mean, you're right where the action
Gucci
is.
store is right up the street.
Yeah.
So that's going to really be phenomenal.
So
I can't wait for that to happen.
You're in the right spot. But thank you for being with us. Michael, would you like to say anything to Zana?
Hey, Zana, how you doing today?
Nice to meet you, Michael.
All right, excellent.
And
So
I hope to hear you.
You hope to hear me when?
But I've been listening. I've been listening to
Okay.
the lessons that you've been giving us.
Oh, thank you. So what do your
Very
Juneteenth
good.
shirts say?
They say Juneteenth. There is an emblem of a fist within the center, and they have the date 1865.
Right. Okay.
It's a pretty simple design, which I like. It's not cluttered. It's a very matter of fact.
Right.
And the colors are really great. So I hope a lot of people wear those, and you don't just have to wear them on that one day. Wear them year round.
That's right. They can wear them all year round. And I've seen people of all nationalities with Juneteenth T-shirts on. So it's not, just for us. It can be for just anybody that really feels the history lesson that's there.
Well, if I see a white person wearing a Juneteenth T-shirt, I'll have to have the conversation with them, because I want to know why is it important to them? Because that's pretty different. That's different. Well, Zana, thank you. I just wanted you to chime in a little bit. We're going to have you in the studio real soon.
Okay, thank you, Charlene.
Oh,
Thanks
you're
for
quite
having me.
welcome. You're welcome.
Okay.
So,
Bye-bye.
Michael, we'll get back into the conversation again. I think it's kind of exciting that there's merchandise that people are, wanting to showcase this national holiday. And the more we see, that's why I keep thinking there needs to be a parade. Maybe there will be. I'd like to see that in downtown Detroit.
Right. Yeah. Parade would be good. Juneteenth is a time to, and that weekend that we celebrate, that's a time to support African American owned businesses. There have been Juneteenth celebrations for decades, and you'll have African American owned vendors there. So we support. So that's an economic empowerment component that has to be
Right.
part of Juneteenth as well, especially when we deal with products that are culturally uplifting, products that teach our history, teach our children their history, things like this, positive things. But yeah, that's a component to Juneteenth also. But when it comes to the history surrounding Juneteenth and the history disseminated in newspaper articles, on cable news, things like this, we have to be at the forefront of controlling that narrative and correcting the misinformation regarding Juneteenth also. Because once again, America has to have a massive history lesson. Juneteenth, and also in conjunction with the National Day of Remembrance of the Tulsa Race Massacre, June 1st, 1921. Those are periods of times to really push this history, okay? And 2021 was the 100th year anniversary of the Tulsa Race Massacre, and a lot of people across the country didn't know the history of it, okay? Mm-hmm. Attached to history is laws and policies, because the policies that people support and the candidates they vote for are largely influenced by their understanding of history. Okay, so this is why we really have to use Juneteenth as a tool of empowerment and deal with politics and educating our people politically and deal with understanding law and history.
What do you think the biggest misconception is about Juneteenth?
Is the day that slavery ended in the U.S. or the last day of slavery. I mean, you had slave owners in Texas who kept slaves for an additional year, like Martha Gibbs, who was a white slave owner from Mississippi, and she flees Mississippi and goes into Texas, just like some other white slave owners did, because Texas was more further removed from battles during the Civil War. So Texas became a safe haven for slave owners. All right, and they're going to keep them to 1866. And there's too much focus on the Emancipation Proclamation and not enough focus on the 13th Amendment, which had to be ratified. And it was, the ratification process is a bill has to pass both the House and the Senate by a 2/3 majority vote. And then it has to pass 3/4 of the state legislatures by a 2/3 majority vote. So but
the June 19th announcement came more than 2.5 years after President Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation.
Yeah, but the Emancipation Proclamation didn't mean anything to the Confederacy because they seceded from the Union. The first state to secede from the Union was South Carolina, December 20th, 1860. Confederacy is formed in February 1861. Civil War starts April 1861. So you had 11 states that seceded from the Union, set up their own government. So that's like Great Britain trying to pass a law to tell the U.S. what to do. Well, wait a second. You had an American Revolution, 1775 to 1783, and the U.S. separated from Great Britain. You can't tell us what to do. So the Emancipation Proclamation had no authority. So it took military action to go in and take back those territories that were in rebellion, to take back and enforce the Emancipation Proclamation. But keep in mind also, I don't know if I said it in this broadcast, I said in others, because of the exceptions to the Emancipation Proclamation, the border states, Missouri, Maryland, Kentucky, and Delaware, they stayed loyal to the Union and they were allowed to keep their slaves. The Emancipation Proclamation didn't mean anything there. So this is why people have to go read it. They have to go to archives.gov or loc.gov, Library of Congress website, and read what it says. And it gives you all these exceptions because the goal was to bring the South back into the Union. It was a military strategy. The goal of the Civil War was not to free the slaves. The purpose changed after the Emancipation Proclamation. after those states in rebellion did not come back into the Union. The preliminary Emancipation Proclamation was September 22nd, 1862, and it was an ultimatum. Either you come back into the Union, or January 1st, 1863, we're going to free your slaves. But they had no authority to do that. That's why it took military force.
When you look at society today, and you know the hip hop movement and how much influence it has on our young people, especially the millennials, the what do you call them, Gen Xers or whatever, the younger
Z.
folks.
Yeah, Gen Z.
How do you Gen Z or whatever, young people? How do you get young people? How do you attract them to learn more about Black history, American history, African American history? You know, how we got here and where we are now. A lot of folks just figure, oh, that was back then. We're all free. We can do what we want now. And you just wonder.
Make it relevant.
The emphasis there is it, yeah.
Make it relevant to what's going on today. The history of the Civil War, slavery, Reconstruction, Jim Crow era is directly related today. The voter suppression laws that we see, 400 voter suppression bills, 19 states passing 34 new bills, also 25 states passed 62 bills to make it easier to vote, because that's what Democrats were doing. But the voter suppression bills, the police brutality, the wealth gap, the racial wealth gap, all of that, African American women making about 63 cents on the dollar that the average white man makes. That's all a legacy of racism, discrimination, etc., which is a legacy of slavery. So you relate it, and Malcolm X is a good person, Malcolm X and Dr. King, because they relate to history, and you go through and study their speeches and study the totality of their lives. And you read books like James E. Cone's book, Martin, Malcolm in America, A Dream or a Nightmare. And he deals with in that book how toward the end of both of their lives, their ideologies were converging and they're sounding like each other. And Malcolm joins the civil rights movement when he separates from the Nation of Islam. So you connect.
Hold that thought,
Go
Michael.
ahead.
Hold that thought.
Yep.
I know I know you're, you can go with it.
Yes.
So, but we got to take a break. It's
That's
our
fine.
last break, and we'll be back to wrap up with Michael Imhotep. Don't go away, everybody.
Stay tuned to Mind Your Business with Charlene Mitchell.
Stand by.
We'll be right back.
Back from break in 2 minutes. Okay, who still needs to register for the online history classes I teach on Saturdays and Sundays? We're on break. Back from break in 1 minute. I'm on Charlene Mitchell's show on 9:10 a.m. WFDF. Mind Your Business. I'll post the link here because I'll be teaching classes this weekend. We're going to do a 1 hour class on Saturday and Sunday. Visit our new website, theafricanhistorynetwork.com, theafricanhistorynetwork.com. Got my DVD lectures there where I'm speaking. theafricanhistorynetwork.com is more user friendly. It shows up better on your smartphone. You can register. You can order right from your smartphone. So we have lectures where I'm speaking. Where I'm speaking for Juneteenth. There's another flyer. I'm waiting on the people to send me the other flyer Sunday afternoon in Inkster. But as my DVD lectures here. So it's easy to order everything. But you can register for the online class I teach on Saturdays and Sundays. Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, understand the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. And from the Civil War to the Civil Rights Movement and Black Power, 1865, 1968. We're doing a special session of the Sunday class on Civil War and Reconstruction. We're doing that Sunday, 7 p.m. I just posted the link here. You can register for it. Back from break in 1 minute. So we have a bundle pack when you can register for both classes for $100. Because it's the classes are regularly $130 each. So we have a special bundle right now, limited time only. You can register for both classes for $100. So I do a PowerPoint presentation. We have book references, articles, video clips. We do the sessions live. All the sessions are archived and recorded. You can watch it anytime. Even after the class is over with, you can go back and watch it.
It's time for Mind Your Business with Emmy Award-winning broadcast journalist Charlene Mitchell.
And we're back wrapping up the show, talking about Juneteenth. What are you doing for Juneteenth? I'm sure you're speaking someplace.
Yes, me? Oh, yeah.
My guest is Michael Imhotep.
Yes. Okay, so for Juneteenth, I'm speaking out in Inkster, Michigan, and Mount Clemens. I'm also teaching my online history classes as well. People can visit my new website, theafricanhistorynetwork.com, theafricanhistorynetwork.com. And when you scroll down, I have the information where I'm speaking. So on Saturday, I'm out in Mount Clemens at the Carnes Community Center, CAIRNS, Carnes Community Center at 58 Orchard Street, Mount Clemens, Michigan. Their event is 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. I speak at 4:30 p.m. It's free and open to the public. They'll have a DJ, they have music, arts and crafts, food trucks, vendors, career advisors, free clothing, etc. And this is National Council of Negro Women and the Macomb chapter of that. And they're putting that on. And then Sunday, I'm out at Inkster, St. Clement's Church, 4300 Harrison Street, Inkster, Michigan. I'm speaking at their worship service. It's 10:30 a.m. and 11:45 a.m. They're having a lunch and learn afterwards. So I'll be speaking for about an hour at that lunch and learn also at the church. And then I go around the corner. There's an event for Juneteenth, also in Inkster, around the corner at the the Floyd B. Simmons Center, the Floyd B. Simmons Center at 29150 Carlisle Avenue in Inkster, Michigan. And that event is that starts at just like 2 p.m. Going into the night. Okay, so I speak about 2:30 p.m.
Wow.
Because I have to do my radio show Sunday night right here on 910 a.m., 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. So I can't stay out there too long. But I'll be out there and I have my DVD lectures at all the locations where I'm speaking. But I teach my online classes also Saturday.
And talk about that. How if people want to learn,
yes,
and they don't have to leave the house, they don't have to register at community college or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They can just go right on their computer and take their classes with you.
Right.
What does that entail?
Okay, well, you can do it by computer or smartphone. Visit our website, theafricanhistorynetwork.com, theafricanhistorynetwork.com. I teach a class on Saturdays, normally 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, called Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, understanding the transatlantic slave trade. And Kemet is one of the original names for Egypt. But I do a PowerPoint presentation. We have book references, articles, video clips. We do the sessions live. All the sessions are archived and recorded. You can go back and watch it anytime. So we're doing a special class this Saturday, 10 a.m. June 18th, because I have to speak. I'll be speaking 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. So we're doing a special session. As soon as you register, the class is regularly $130. It's on sale $60, but you can use it with your family.
Now that's a good deal.
Yeah, you can use it with your family, and even after the course is over with, a year from now, 2 years from now, you can go back and watch the entire class. On Sundays, I teach a class normally 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. from the Civil War to the Civil Rights Movement and Black Power, 1865 to 1968. We're doing a special session Sunday, 7 p.m. Sunday, which is why I have to leave Inkster and come do this class 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Sunday, then do my radio show 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. On Sunday, June 19th. We're having a special session. That class is on sale $60, regularly $130. And we deal with history chronologically, actually starting in 1803 with the Louisiana Purchase and the Haitian Revolution, because those two events are related. And we go through history chronologically to see what leads up to the Civil War taking place. Then we deal with Reconstruction, 1865, 1877, Jim Crow era, Great Migration, 1915, 1970, World War I, World War II, Civil Rights Movement, and Black Power Movement, to understand what happened to us after slavery ended, the laws and policies put in place, and how we got to where we are today to understand where we need to go from here. So that's at theafricanhistorynetwork.com, our new website. And we have a bundle pack where you can register for both courses for only $100 also. It's greatly discounted.
Well, I think that would be money well spent.
Absolutely.
A lot of money, money well spent. Looking at where we are today, the January 6th insurrection, these hearings that are on now, we're learning so much more about what led up to it and how many of our elected officials were actually involved in the planning of this whole thing.
Yeah.
How do you think what's happening right now is going to go down in history? Because it's all, this white supremacy thing and these different groups and the shootings, and there's just so much going on that is based around racism and hate.
Mm-hmm. So you're talking about like the January 6th insurrection and what's coming out of the January 6th committee?
Yes.
Well, they're going to go down as traitors to the Union. They're going to go down as traitors. All this information, I knew all this information was going to come out with the January 6th committee. So more information is coming out, more information about the details about them planning to overthrow the government and disenfranchise 81 million people who voted for Joe Biden. So they're going to go down as traitors. We know that there have been about 865 people who've been arrested. There have been about because of the January 6th insurrection, the investigation Department of Justice is doing. There have been about 305 guilty pleas. You have more people who are being convicted in court. We saw, and the higher ups, they're going to be indicted. They're going to be convicted as well. This is the.
What do you think about Ginny Thomas? We only have a minute.
Oh, Ginny Thomas,
who's married to a Supreme Court justice.
The January 6th hearing wants to committee. They want to hear from her as well. I think if there's enough evidence, I think she's going to end up being indicted in criminal court also. Justice Thomas needs to resign. Okay, just remain a shred of integrity. He has very little. Just maintain a shred of integrity. But more information is coming out every day. I love it. I want the truth to come out. I want all these traitors to be held to be brought to justice and feel the full extent of the Department of Justice, which was created in 1870 during Reconstruction, incidentally, to enforce the new rights of African Americans and go after those who are violating our rights. That's why the Department of Justice was created in 1870.
Whoa. I love having you on.
Hey, thanks for having me, Charlene.
I really, really do. So we won't wait so long next time.
Okay.
But you have a great weekend, and I hope all of your speeches and your appearances are very, very successful, and that people will gravitate towards you, get involved in the classes. I need to take a class myself.
Oh.
Don't be surprised if I pop up.
All right.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you, Michael Imhotep.
No problem.
And thank you all of our listeners and our callers tonight. Until next week, just going to say good night and God bless.
All right.
Eric was behind.
All right, guys. Let me disconnect from this. Okay. So our new website is theafricanhistorynetwork.com. Okay, so you can go there and you can order the DVD lectures, the AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, and the I'm gonna post the digital downloads there. I have the links for the digital downloads. We're gonna post those there. I got to get some transferring things over to the new website, but I posted some links here so you can order the digital downloads, like of the Juneteenth lecture. The digital download is $5. DVD is $10. We have DVD shipping out this weekend. Let me post this here for the. That's for, okay, that's the Juneteenth one. And okay. And let me check something right here. All right, so we'll be registered for who still needs to register for the online classes I teach on Saturdays and Sundays. Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they did you in school. And from the Civil War to the Civil Rights Movement of Black Power, 1865 and 1968. As soon as you register, there's content that you can start watching. We watched last week's class, and we have the classes greatly discounted. This helps support the African History Network, helps us keep doing the research, stay on the air, pay some of the bills, finance all this stuff. Because I'm on the radio, I'm on 910, but they don't pay me to do music. I mean, they don't pay me to do radio. Okay, let me check something here. I want to check one of these links here. Let me see here. Okay. Yeah, we'll get that link updated so those that register for the class can, those that register for the Juneteenth, those that order the Juneteenth digital download, we'll get that updated. We're gonna I'll put a new link in there. Okay, there we go. Okay, yep. So we'll get that fixed. Let's go in here, do that, and then that is in. All right, so we'll get that updated. So you can order that now, that digital download, and you can start watching it in a couple of minutes. You can order our DVD lectures, also register for the classes. All right, we have to get out of here. Right now, it's correct wrong behavior is not over till we win Wakanda forever. We'll be on live Sunday, June 19th, 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the African History Network show.